I shall get started. People will either come or not come. There's a lot going on at the moment, and I hope you're all well. So this week we're going to do Dalet. We're gradually crawling through the letter. So we've done Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet is today. And I'm just reminding you again, I'm sure you remember that these letters are a lot more than just A, B, C in Hebrew. They have almost a physical existence because they're the way that the universe is created, and the word for word and the word for thing is the same, devar. So there's all of that I said in the first one. And the letters are these sort of creative forces that have this energy that can combine to form words and things, devar. The letters have shapes and combinations of elemental shapes. The letters have numbers to them. There's a gematria that makes a whole load of meanings as well. There's letters of sounds, carving channels into the air using the voice. I talked about that a little bit last week. Letters as meanings, they have words, they have histories to them. And letters also have time, space, and body associated with them in the Sefer Yetzirah, which I will be doing. I will introduce a little bit today and start on properly next week. Last week I said that we talk about letters, particularly in Sefer Yetzirah, as engraved in the sound, in the voice, and engraved in different parts of the speaking apparatus, because we humans are the ones that can speak, and we're the humans that we're here because we can pray. And our first prayer is for rain. And we're just coming into the rainy season at the moment, where we add a prayer in to the prayer that we do 3 times a day, the Amidah, which is about, we say, the God who makes the rain fall and the wind blow, and we add that in to the thing. So today we're going to look at Dalet, this 4th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So it's got a numerical value of 4 and a sound of D. And Dalet, the name for this letter, isn't just D, it's got a name to it, Dalet. And Dalet is a door. It also, the shortened version, Dal, is from a poor person, and with different playing, because S and T can be played with an interchange. Dilisoni can mean to lift up, but it's mainly door that people think about it. A little bit about poor person, which I'll mention. And it's got this shape to it. It's kind of like 2 vavs. One is horizontal across with human connections, because we go horizontal across the earth. And one is vertical, as if we're talking up into between the earth and the heavens. So it's kind of a nice letter. It opens the doors between us and heaven. The Dalet shape, I said last week, this is a gimel with a foot reaching out. The poor person is chasing after this Dalet, this benefactor, this door that opens, that gives generosity. And there's a phrase, Gomel Dalim, the benefactor who gives to the beneficiary. So the poor person chasing after the one that's going to open up the door. So it looks like a door that swings on its hinges. There are lots of meanings of Dalet, gematria meanings. It's because it's a 4 represents lots and lots of things. One of the things it represents is the matriarchs. I always say, before you study Kabbalah and deep mysticism, you should know who the matriarchs and patriarchs are. You should have read the Bible, at least the Torah. The 4 matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and they have stories to them. It also represents the 4 created worlds that are explained in Kabbalah: Atzilus, Beriah, Yetzirah, and Asiya, and I'll mention those again in a moment. It also has linked to it the 4 basic elements of creation: fire, air, water, and earth is solid. So some texts only have 3. They don't put earth in. They have earth as this liquidy substance. But a lot of them have 4, so fire, air, water, and earth. And 4 also represents the holiday of Pesach, Passover, because we have the 4 cups of wine. There's 4 children in the story that ask the questions, and there's 4 questions that they ask. So 4 has lots of links to stories as well, and to people and to worlds. So all of these people know when they know. In Pesach, Passover, there are 4 expressions of redemption in the Torah when God is about to take the Israelites out of Egypt. The first one is, I will take out. The second one, I will save you. The third, I will redeem you. And finally, I will take you to me as a nation. And the first 3 involve the intervention of God himself in taking the Israelite people out of Egypt. The Israelites are quite passive in this. And the 4th one is to become God's nation. You've actually got to commit to it. This idea of freedom in Judaism isn't freedom from slavery. It's freedom to something. And the thing it's free to is to accept God and his dominion over everything and his part in everything, and that everything is part of God. So there's lots and lots of rules and laws that come with that. And so freedom for us is a completely different concept to just freedom from. It's freedom to something. And so these 4 expressions get linked up in Dalet, which is also the door of Exodus. And across every door you'll see in cinemas and stuff in Israel is Yitzi, which means exit. So the words come, and it's also in the Bible, Exodus comes out of Yetzirah. So all the things link up. And so modern Hebrew links up, obviously, to biblical Hebrew. So the door out of Exodus. Gimel has this, is 3, this father, the investor of potential. It's got this potential. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are the 3 fathers. The 4 mothers are where you realize that potential. It's like the seed and the egg. You have to have the 2 to realize the potential of life. The father then invests a potential, the seed, and the mother, the developer, takes it and refines it. And so the father is the biological benefactor of that, and the mother, the biological beneficiary. So the Dalet has this beneficiary. Gimel and Dalet have this benefactor and beneficiary. So the father is the sort of Gimel, and the mother is the Dalet. The giver of the 3rd letter, the mother, the 4th, the receiver, the beneficiary. Once the potential is realized, of course, one rejoices. We rejoice with wine, and these 4 cups of wine, of course, at Pesach that we rejoice with. There's other meanings to the Dalet, which I won't go into too much, just to let you know the difference between the first 3 expressions, and the 4th is the difference between matzah and wine, and matzah being the poor man's bread that we eat when we come out of Egypt. And they're tasteless, and we don't know what's going on, because it's not just that we're out of a physical land of Egypt, we're out of a spiritual, mental space where we've forgotten who we are. Slaves have no choice to choose anything, and we have forgotten who we are, so we have no idea of choosing who we are. So this is part of this whole opening the door into our own consciousness. Over the 49 days between coming out of Egypt and receiving the laws at Sinai, we have to work on ourselves. We have to start to become free people and make choices, which is what free people do. And so we're meant to refine ourselves, just like the mother refines the seed. We're meant to refine ourselves. We lift up ourselves from sort of this impure, empty, unconscious space into some level of understanding. And going to show you that in Kabbalah in a moment. And we acknowledge God. And once we start to understand that, we can become joyous, and we drink the wine, for there is no song without wine. We drink wine, these 4 cups, also so we can acknowledge our redemption from Egypt. And in Hebrew, Egypt is called Mitzrayim, which means a narrow place. And so we're coming from a very narrow place into this big understanding of what's really happening. So it's a deeply embodied and also mystical thing that's going on here. It's not just walking out of Egypt, it's walking out of a mindset as well. So letters have links to all these stories and numbers and gematria and stuff like that. They also have work as channels and combinations, like the Gimel chasing after the Dalet, to describe the universe and how we're meant to be in it. And there's 2 real big sources that I'm going to delve into as we go along now. One is called Sefer Yetzirah, which is very ancient. Some people say it goes back to Abraham. Most people would say it goes back a couple thousand years. And then Kabbalah, which also starts appearing a couple of thousand years ago and develops a lot in the 11th and 12th century. There's huge centers in France and Spain, and then in Sefirot in Israel. So all of this mysticism is going on at the same time. But these people obviously know their Torah very well when they're doing this. So I'm going to open up Kabbalah a bit, because I actually want to do Sefer Yetzirah, but for people to get one to the other, I'm going to start with Kabbalah, which is slightly later. In Kabbalah, there's this idea of, it's called Tzimtzum, that God contracts a little bit to make space for the universe. God contracts his infinite light to make space where he's still there, but it's allows the finite to emanate itself. And God emanates the finite through what are called Sefirot, 10 attributes, emanations. The Ein Sof, this infinite being, reveals itself and continuously creates the physical realm and the chain of higher metaphysical realms. So it's happening all the time. It's like light pouring down all the time, but it has to be slightly restricted as it comes down to us, because we can't take that much light. I mean, it would blind us. It would be like staring at the sun. So there's this sort of constriction of light, this Simpson, through these emanations. The singular is called Sephirah and the plural Sefirot. And they're described as channels of divine creative life force or consciousness, through which the unknowable divine essence is revealed to us, I should say humankind. And the tradition of enumerating 10 is stated in the Sefer Yetzirah before Kabbalah. 10 Sephirot of nothingness, 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. They know that it's 10. However, altogether, in fact, we tend to look at 11, because there's various schemes, I'll show you in a second, where either at the top, this understanding, this understanding, this door that opens into your consciousness, can be played against your unconsciousness, this keter. And so we end up with putting 11 down, although there are only 10. The keter and the da'at are seen as sort of manifestations of the same principles of whether it's conscious or unconscious. And the traditional drawing of these Sephirah is in this sort of pattern. This is the crown, the top, and this is da'at, this understanding, which holds together Chokhmah, which is wisdom, and Bina, which is knowing. And there are different types of knowing the universe, of understanding it, or having wisdom of it. And so these two interchange a little bit between consciously knowing something and unconsciously knowing something. And they're very high, brainy type things. And these that you work on by studying and yeah, doing mysticism. These lower ones, though, are very much about emotional refinement, how to be emotionally refined. And these first three are linked with the three patriarchs. This is a little bit later, I'm not sure, but it works really. Abraham is said to have chesed, which is incredible compassion, overwhelming compassion for everybody and everything. Isaac is said to have the Gevurah, which is boundaries. And you need boundaries. You need this balance called Tiferet, is a balance and a beauty. If you give overwhelming love to everything, you drown it. It never gets a chance to express itself because you're just drowning it in your love and stuff. So you need to pull back to make space, and also to have boundaries yourself, that people shouldn't take over you either. So there's this balance that we need called Tiferet, and they get linked to the characters in the early stories of the Torah, because they're said to embody these sorts of characteristics the most. But these characteristics existed before Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These are characteristics, it's just the models of them are in the Torah. And then we have these four lower ones, which could be the matriarchs. They obviously, this is the very patriarchal version, which are to do with ambition and reaching out, and humility and pulling back. So this is the side that goes out, and this is the side that comes back. So overconfident people are Netzach. They think that everything about them is they can do anything and nobody else can. Hod are people who can be completely too humble. They don't think they have a right to be here even. And everybody has a right to be here, otherwise they wouldn't be here. So Hod is the sort of humility. So you need this balance between them, which is Yesod again. And Malchut is action in the world. So that's the 10th or 11th Sefirot in a sort of Kabbalistic version, which I'm not going to do a lot more than this on it. I just wanted to introduce it to you because I'm going to do Sefer Yetzirah's version of the Sefirot, which link the letters much clearer. But there are letters that link all of these together, as you can see. They aren't there by accident, they're there on purpose. The Sefirot also are said to link to the body, obviously Dat being our sort of understanding. They put Malchut in the mouth area because we speak, but it's also, it looks like it's in the feet. And then they put the right arm and the left arm and stuff. Yesod being our foundation, and therefore it's about it's in the genitals. It's about forming the next group of people. So they get linked onto the body. The four worlds that I mentioned, all the Sephirah exist in the four worlds, and there are four worlds of the light coming down and being retracted. There's far more. I mean, each one of these worlds have multiple worlds in them. The Ein Sof is this huge everything, and we can't comprehend it and we can't take it all in. And so it gets filtered and retracted, this simsum, through the four worlds. But each of the four worlds have these qualities in them of Sephirah. And so this is the top higher world, Absolute, which is emanation of the Ein Sof. And then we get into creation, Bria, Yetzirah, which is formation, as in Sefer Yetzirah, that I'll do next week. And then we end up in Asiya, which is the world in which we are, the world of action. And so we have these four worlds, but each one of them has their own Sephirah, and each of the Sephirah has its own world up and down as well. It's very, very complicated, and I'm simplifying it immensely. But Dalet is four, and it opens these four worlds to us that allow some of the light through, linking things back together again. So you've got these four worlds, and four has lots and lots of meanings to it, not just Dalet or not just door. It also has these ideas to it. There's lots of different drawings of it, and the four worlds that come down are also linked to the four-letter name of God, which is called the Tetragrammaton. Tetra means four, as in Tetra Pak. It's four-sided pack that you have your milk in. And so these four worlds are linked to Yod He Vav He, which is the Tetragrammaton that is this unspeakable name of God. And I wanted to start on it now because next week we come up with the first of these letters, He, and then we're going to do Vav and then Yod. So we're going to start doing these letters. And so I wanted to open them up, that they also bring in the four worlds. Up here is the Yod. Obviously, the He is us spreading ourselves out a bit. The Vav is forming us between the upper and lower, and the lower He is our legs into action, into the ground. And so there's this idea that this four-letter name of God exists through each of these worlds, but also expresses, these letters express part of it. So it's four letters, Tetragrammaton, the Dalet that opens all of this up. You should also note that on some diagrams, it goes two ways. We think that what we do down here has an effect on upstairs. So if you do something down here, if you give to charity, for example, it adds sparks upstairs. You're doing the right thing, and when you do the right thing, it goes upwards as well. So there's this two-way chat going on all the time. You affect the universe, basically. And quantum physics would say the same thing. You affect the universe. The Sefirot, which I will talk more about next week, also each one is reflected in aspects of us. We have all of those things. Sometimes we love, sometimes we withdraw, sometimes we've got lots of confidence, sometimes we're very humble, acute. And what we were meant to do when we came out of Egypt, basically, was refine all of this. And that's what we do. There's a time, sorry, I'm going to sneeze, between Pesach and Shavuot, when we receive the 10 Commandments, the 49 days, and every year we count those 49 days and we work on one of the Sefirot, because there are 7 of the Sefirot that we can work on quite easily. We work on these 7 emotional Sefirot during these 49 days, one per week, to try and refine ourselves. And that's what we're meant to be doing, refining ourselves, finishing creation. God creates, and then we're meant to refine it and finish it off. And now I'm going to do a meditation on Dalet for you. I'll stop sharing the screen so that you can have a moment to yourselves and have this moment of contemplation on linking all these things together, because I've thrown quite a lot at you. You know it's recorded, but I want to start into Sefer Yetzirah next week, so I thought I'd do some of the Kabbalah this week. So if you want to take a moment to have a meditation, I think if you could make yourselves comfortable and sit somewhere comfortably, and just maybe close your eyes so you don't have any distractions, and take a couple of deep breaths in and out. It's that out one which really releases all the tension and all the stuff back into the universe, disperses it. So instead of using it as a voice to make sounds and prayers, you can just release it back, taking in the breath of life and then just recycling it. And just relax a moment into yourselves and into the chair that you're sitting on, just be aware of it and aware of where you are. Just start to come down into just this moment. And maybe we need to think about the narrow place that we hold ourselves in. Quite often, we're scared of things, and we hold ourselves in a very narrow place. There's a saying by a rabbi, life is just a narrow bridge. The art is not to be afraid. We need to cross the bridge. We need to stop being afraid, and we have to open the door from our narrow place into the big world that we want to live in. We have to go from the small to the large to realize our potential. It's scary, but that's freedom. Walking through the door that we've imprisoned ourselves in. Most people imprison themselves. They tell themselves stories. They hold themselves in places they don't need to be in. Open the door. Walk through it. Realize your potential. You have to do it every day. Realize your potential. You have to go on creating. Just like God, you're a creative being. You have to create all the time. It's work. It really is work. And take a couple of breaths and come back into the room.